mimi kukuja kwangu hapa niko na huzuni. Kama vile mumesoma vile imeandikwa, maisha yangu ya kazi nilianzia Sihendu Medical Center. Huyu daktari wa nyama
Susan Nahumisha, the Health Cabinet Secretary, and Didymus Baraza are the latest UDA leaders to be harassed, or rather lynched in public over the finance bill. And Nahumisha could not have her speech in Bungoma when the locals, or the public, demanded that Baraza should be called in order for voting for finance bill. I understand that President Ruto is the team has retreated to Eldoret, or rather to Uasin Gishu, and has been trying to mobilize youths for some meeting. And this is part of the conduit scheme, part of the convert scheme, to try to express that despite of the youth rage that people are seeing in the country, he's also having some support. And it's the divide and rule strategy that they're actually talking about. So probably we are waiting to look at how that would turn out. The Wall Journal, the Street Wall Journal, published Kenyan protest, and for the third day in a row, the Reject Finance Bill protest is still grabbing international headlines, because I think it was trending in the US. It trended in the US on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And things are not really very right. So I want us to look at the diaspora audience joining it, and why William Ruto have a lot of work to do to ensure that the public anger goes down. The challenge the president is having is what is called public anger. But just before that, guys, I told you that as Team Bold, I'm planning to also stand in the solidarity with the family of Evans Kiratu. This gentleman succumbed to injuries after the Thursday, during the Thursday protests, and I lost his life in Kenyatta Hospital. So when I spoke with the mother today in the day, they were doing actually post-mortem. Then the other bills that are needed in terms, I think when as now they will proceed to the other part of burial arrangement. And I decided that tomorrow I also want to stand in solidarity. It's called solution journalism. You don't sit and just complain and say and you can't do something. And so that is why I ask us to come up with something kidogo. Let's support what you can do. And if you are a subscriber and you are around Kiambu, also hit my inbox. We can plan so that we tag along ile yenye tutakuwa tumepata. I was thinking if we can get 50, but I think we are not doing bad because you now have 21,977. Yes, so 21,000, that means we have a deficit of 29. Yes, I believe we'll be able to do so that kesho hata tukienda pia tuende just to stand solidarity. These are the patriots that are fighting for us, me and you, who maybe did not find time or rather can also not make that appearance out there. And thank you very much for the good response. This is one day. We are not going to do it in Aisha Leo. Then tomorrow we take that money. So you will realize, and I've taken better part of Saturday, just looking at how people are behaving online. Let me tell you, the online team, I don't know whether the team are calling Gen Z, there is anger. And that is what President Ruto must understand. Government is trying to ask rationale, is trying to reason with people on rationale, but there is that anger on it. Let's listen into what this gentleman is saying. Why really the people are protesting. This from the US.
Hey, gentlemen and ladies, especially the young people I'm noticing in Kenya, they have taken to the streets. And that is really, really encouraging, because the Generation Z, these young people, they need to understand whatever they are doing is probably what we, their parents, have failed to do. You need to know that facing the government or standing up for tyrannical government or people who are leading by the iron fist is what moves people forward. I want to tell you about a young man from the southern part of this country, United States of America. His name was Martin Luther King. He led a revolution, and that is why somebody like me, at my skin color, I'm able to work, go to school, and have rights like any other person in this great country. However, you might sit down there and watch the government taxing you heavily, and it's okay to pay taxes because the government runs by taxes. However, I have to show you where these taxes are going to. So if you're a young man and you're a young woman and you do not have a job, that is not fair to you. And do not be lied to that there are no jobs. Here in this country, and I'm going to use the US because this is where I have matured. I came here as a young person. And what I have realized is that at the age of 14, kids start learning how to drive. At the age of 15, they are driving themselves to school. At the age of 16, there is no kid that depends on the parent to take them anywhere. I'm telling you that because I have kids who are above that age. They drive to high school. Not because I have money, no, it's because they can go and look for a job anywhere, anytime, and be employed and go to school and work. Of course, this money or these jobs don't come from heaven and drop. No. They come from the taxpayers' money that we pay. Because everybody who pays taxes must be able to see, touch, and smell where the money is going to. The streets must smell good. The roads must not have potholes. The hospitals must have medicine. Schools must be looking for kids to enroll. There's no one kid in Kenya and anywhere in the world, especially in the continent of Africa, who should be worried about where they should be going to school the following day. There's no kid who should be worried whether the mother or the dad is rich, whether they can afford to go to college. There's no kid or woman or man who should be lining up at barazas in the constituency level or even in the ward level begging for bursary. That is conmanship, that is stupidity, and you need to call it out. So also as you turn into these street demonstrations, I would also want you to just not worry about the finance bill. I would want you to start thinking about how you can give these parliamentarians 2 years and be done with bursaries. They know where you go to school. They know that you do not have money. So this money should be sent to the schools directly so that your job is just wake up from your mom's house or from your dad's house and go to school, sit down and get educated. You need to know that you're competing with kids from all over the world. This is not the time that our mothers used to wake up and go and work in the nearest farm and be paid $1 a day. When you have a computer, when you have education, you can be working from home for any company globally. So the government needs to know that the times have changed. And these things are happening not because they never knew about it. Whatever they knew about is that they can wake up in the morning, call each other names, go to parliament, act like criminals, go to the villages, give funeral money, go give bursaries, and they did not know that time is catching up with them. Their days are gone. from today, the young people from Lagos, Nigeria, from South Africa, from the mid part of Africa, Central Africa, from East Africa, everywhere, in the Horn of Africa, we must put notice to the government, peacefully, of course, and tell them that this is not the generation that you're dealing with before. I have children your age. What I have come to realize is that you must have a conversation with this generation. You talk to them because they have brains. They can see, and you cannot lie to them. No. Good job. We are watching you and we are proud of what you're doing because you're doing it peacefully. And now the government, those crazy parliamentarians, just change your game. It's halftime. We are watching the Euros. And when you go for halftime, you talk to your 11 players. Sometimes the coach will decide they will do substitution before the second half whistle is blown. So you people, members of parliament, think this is a wave that you're not gonna stop. God bless you. And may people realize it's okay for you to treat other human beings like you would want to be treated. This is James. We must fight for what is right.
The US diaspora community is joining the protest tomorrow on Sunday. That is what the bad news that William Ruto needs to hear. That while you can consolidate the members of, you can consolidate a team in the country, but in Europe, they are also joining the protest tomorrow. And that Sunday is going to be interesting. It's part of the solidarity. The diaspora community has been following the developments in the country. And as I told you, one thing that you'll have to credit, and the game changer, and that has sent everyone within government into a big dilemma, is how to handle the digital space. And let me tell you, the protest, the organization and execution is very organic, and it's being done in social media. So through social media, I wonder those who say that someone has sponsored this, someone has paid so and so. So I wonder if through social media, through Twitter, how are people being paid? Twitter, how are people being paid through Twitter, by the way? What I've realized is follow each other. But today, 1.2 million people listened to a tweet chat that was going on today since morning. So everyone was, and in fact, Ruto logged in and insults started coming, and then he had to log out. Murkomen, Arun Chariot, a government spokesperson, who is this? The government spokesperson, Isaac Mwaura, they were all there, but they were actually overwhelmed. They could not contain the kind of language and the insults that were going on there. So if there is a game change, or rather the most technical part of government to do is to try to counter the digital space, because there was an attempt, and I've seen desperately some pro-government bloggers going online and trying to, they're trying to defend. But if you do a post and look at the reply section, you cannot do another one. My friend Pius the other day was asking, mbona mnanitusi? I also saw another one asking, mbona mnanitusi? Because out of 100 replies that you get, almost 90 are insults and people calling you names. Now, there is something we need to agree there. And I think Kenya Kwanza should get it clear. What is happening now, when the protest started, people were holding into reject finance bill, and that was before Tuesday. Then by Sunday last week, there were some concessions that were made. They were leaked out in the media. Then Monday there was that PG, and those concessions were made official. So when concessions were made official, those concessions were to try to tone down and say, look here guys, at least I have dropped what you guys were complaining about. Then the story changed, and now they said, we don't want amendments, we want to reject the bill in total. That is what the public then went and said. Now, from then when the voting came on Thursday, they voted yes, that second reading. So what happened is clearly there is a point of people have now moved in from rejecting and now have anger. Now, what you are seeing on leaders being heckled, Occupy Church, Occupy his village, Salimia, what you are seeing is anger. The activism is now anger. For example, if you see photos, like I've told you, even people even ask me about the other one, for X, 2 people have been killed. When members of the public see the photos circulating online, it creates the anger. It brings the anger. And now that is the big problem. So William Ruto and the government team have an uphill task to tone down that anger. Imagine now it's not about rationale. Who doesn't know that taxes, that government gets money through taxes? Even if you ask my 2-year-old girl, she will tell you, mama, serikali inatoanga pesa wapi? Ushuru. She knows. That one everyone knows. But why is it that there is anger on taxes? Until you've tried to say, we cannot reject it in total, we have just to amend some parts. I've seen that explanation, and some UDA MPs are bravely trying to explain. But people are not buying it. Why? Why are people not listening also, that part? Because there is anger. And that anger is the most difficult part to deal with. Because one understanding, you've also failed to listen to the people. I don't know. I know Salim Davadi is saying, if that bill fails, if that bill flops, then that will be a vote of no confidence on government. But I'm just trying to think outside the box. How about if that bill sails and the protests continues? Aren't we also at a loss? Are the protests already not a sign of disapproval of the government? It's a balance that we need to strike. And so I want to help Kenya Kwanza here. What they must do, this is what Ruto and the team must do to tone down the political tension. And everyone is in the interest of toning down. These 4 things you must do. Number 1, Ruto must pull the corruption yardstick. I managed to listen to that Twitter discussion for, I think, only 2 hours. It was long, so I listened to it for 2 hours. But one speaker after the other was complaining about something. That you guys are saying you want to tax more. But you guys are stealing the money. You guys are putting up big mansions, are buying mansions, and we know your salaries. And we also, even businesses being done by politicians are getting money, but people, other Kenyans who are doing businesses are closing. So where is the balance? You can't realize the public is complaining about corruption. Yes, Mr. President, that is the big thing. And let me give you an example. In that finance bill, there is a clause that has been introduced there to remove conflict of interest. And let me tell you how it works. Initially, if you're a governor, an MP, or you're a public servant, you're not allowed yourself okay, not you are not allowed now. If you are caught that you have done a business with your spouse and your children, you've given a tender to your child, your wife, or your relative, that automatically be questioned on conflict of interest before you look at whether the service was delivered or not, or whether there was misappropriation here and there. That first culture of giving tenders to people within your circle is already bringing conflict of interest. Now, Finance Bill is proposing that will be allowed, and you cannot flag that as a conflict of interest unless money has been misappropriated. But do you know why this is really something that has to be taken care of keenly? Because when an MP can be allowed to give a tender to his wife or his child, most probably that will be a conduit for him to get these tenders. Well, some of these tenders are supposed to go to youth, people who are living with disability, you know, competent people that qualify. And sometimes you can give to your child people who have briefcase companies that maybe can even compromise the quality of the service of the product that was supposed to be delivered. And so the corruption yardstick, Mr. President, come out and say, but let me tell you, from today, let's go to Parliament, let's amend the law and say, get a clause that if you steal public money, maybe you are killed. Just the same way South Korea is. People risasi mbele ya watu. We should stick so that we weed out corruption. Number two, the second thing they must do, William Ruto must call the politicians into order. These points, I grasp them from that Twitter. There is a lot of discussion and people are asking, how is it that a minister is putting on a shoe worth 400,000, worth 1 million, a belt worth 1 million? And the bragging, you know, stop brandishing money in public. Stop brandishing those millions. You know, you wonder, you say there is no money, but a politician will go to a church and carry millions in a bag. Then wakikwambia hata hakuna pesa, you wonder, surely, what are they saying? Or is it sisi ni hatuna pesa? So, that is one thing that the president must also do. Can you act like, yes, you can have all that money? Can you call the Sudis and the Nyoros of our time into order? When you're brandishing those millions, you're giving those millions to churches. Not that it is wrong, but surely, your pesa, the public knows your salary. Then you say, mimi ni mkarabati, or mimi na... Surely. Third thing, the police, Ruto must have a come to Jesus meeting with the police and the security department, the security apparatus. Have a come to Jesus meeting and tell them, let protesters protest, but kindly refrain from incidents of violation of human rights that can flare the emotions. The emotions are high. When people see people dying, 2 now have lost their lives. When people see those shots, police shooting people, you know, those instances are not good. Come to Jesus meeting, restrain. The protesters have generally been peaceful. I don't know why we have to run a narrative that things have been vandalized. Let's normalize the fact that the country can, the young people can protest without vandalizing people's things. So that wakienda parliament, they also know if they get to parliament, you can still do restraint. Lastly, the government must work on public service delivery. Let the taxes work for the people. Like what the gentleman is saying there. When you are driving that road, smell the taxes. Not you're driving and the whole road is all potholes. Potholes all through. You get to an hospital, I'm giving you a very shocking one. I went to one of the public hospitals, let me not mention. So it was emergency. And not my sister. This was that was on Friday, yesterday. Then you have to wait. Sijui hakuna stretcher, hakuna bed. So you have to wait, and someone is in a critical condition. Guys, when you go to some public hospitals, I once went to Mama Lucy Hospital. I found people sharing bed. Even today, if you go there, you'll find people sharing bed. I remember when I was discharging some women from that hospital in February, some were sharing bed. Now a total. So when you go to a hospital, you cannot smell the taxes. So let things work. At least, watch a section moja hata work. When you go to the university, the fees are very ridiculous. Same to the high school. No books. The parents are dipping back in their already dried up pockets to get money for the children. So I think let something work. Guys, let something work. The problem hapa watu wanaona hizi vitu haziwork. You're talking about affordable housing, not everyone can do those jobs. And they are not even there. You're talking about, I don't know, migration labor. How many? We are almost, the youth of this country is almost 30 million. Then you are talking about some 100,000 jobs created somewhere. It's a drop in the ocean. So let things work. I think that is what will tone down the country. Thank you.